And this, we know this happened when he first died. Omar came in and he was upset. People were saying that he was dead. And he threatened people. He stood up there with his sword and said, anybody who says that the Prophet ﷺ is dead, you're going to lose your head. People backed off. Abu Bakr came, he went in, checked the Prophet ﷺ, lifted up the garment, saw he was dead, kissed his forehead, put it back, and came outside, pushed Omar aside. He said, whoever was worshipping Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, know that Muhammad is dead. But whoever was worshipping the Lord of Muhammad, then know that the Lord of Muhammad is ever living. Right? So, the point is that to call on anyone who cannot answer your prayers is worship. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Ad-du'a huwa al-ibadah. Calling, ad-du'a, to make dua, to call on, from da'wah means to call. It is worship in its essence. That is the essence of worship, calling. We say, Ya Allah. If you say, Ya Rasulullah, you're involved in worshipping the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's why in the masjids where you see people like to put up these plates, ornate plates, it says, Ya Allah, Ya Rasulullah. This is wrong. It's wrong. Now some people say, well, don't we say in our tashahhud, As-salam alayka ayyuhar rasul? Don't we say this? Peace be on you, O messenger. Don't we say this? This is not in our tashahhud. Yes, it is in the one that the Prophet ﷺ taught us. But Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, in Sahih al-Bukhari, he informed that when the Prophet ﷺ was living among them, they used to say that. But when he died, instead they said, As-salam ala nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be on the messenger and Allah's mercy and blessings. They didn't say alayka anymore, ayyuhar rasul or ayyuhar nabi. They said as-salam ala nabi. Now scholars have differed as to whether you should follow what Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said or whether we should just go with what the Prophet ﷺ initially taught. The proper methodology is to go with what Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said. Why? Because he said, we used to, not just I used to. That may be a personal thing on his part. But he said, we, the companions of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and there are a number of other narrations of other companions saying the same thing. So, if we now are going to understand what Prophet Muhammad ﷺ taught us, do we understand it as our own minds tells us, or do we understand it the way that the companions of the Prophet ﷺ understood it? This is the crux of the matter. Our understanding of Islam should depend on how the companions of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ understood Islam. Otherwise, you will end up with all kinds of interpretations. The Qadianis, they say, we follow Quran and Sunnah. In fact, in Pakistan, where everybody else pray with their hands, for example, below their navel, they don't raise their hands in general when going from, going into ruku', coming out of ruku', all these other takbirs, they don't, raising of the hands, they don't do it. The people who do it are the Qadianis. Right? Because it's in Sahih Bukhari. It's in Sahih Muslim. So in terms of following the Sunnah in that respect, they are doing it more closely than the majority of Indian and Pakistanis. However, in a more crucial area, where Allah says in the Quran, describing Prophet Muhammad ﷺ as not being the father of any of your men, but Khatam al-Nabiyyin, but the seal of the prophethood. What do they do with this? When they believe in Mirza Ghulam Ahmad as a prophet having coming after Rasulullah ﷺ. What do they do with this verse? They say, well, if you go to the Arabic dictionary and you look up the word khatam, you find that the word khatam not only means seal, it also means ring. It also means a ring. So they say, as the ring, when you put it on your finger, it beautifies your hand. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was the beautification of the prophethood and not the seal. You see? They have gone in and made their interpretation to suit their set of beliefs concerning Ghulam Ahmad. So, what is our response? Yes, the Arabic dictionary will tell you this. However, the companions of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, they didn't understand it that way. When Allah said Khatam al-Nabiyyin, they understood it meant the seal of the prophethood. Finish. And they narrated other statements of the Prophet ﷺ saying, La nabiyya ba'di, there is no messenger coming or prophet coming after me. That's the understanding. And that is the correct understanding. So this is why we find those who stress the importance of understanding the Quran and the Sunnah according to the interpretation or the understanding of the Sahaba and the Tabi'een, those who came after them, and the Tabi'een and those who came after them, about whom Rasulullah ﷺ said, Khairun Nasi Qarni, the best of people are my generation. ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ, then those who followed them, ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ, then those who followed them. Those first three generations, the best of generations, they are referred to by the Arabic term as Salaf as-Salih, the righteous predecessors. So when a person says, I am a Salafi, I follow the way of the Salaf, they are saying, I understand the Quran and the Sunnah as it was understood by the Sahaba and those early generations. That is what Salafiyya means. It doesn't mean a group. Because you may have a group which says, we are the Salafis, but they may be doing things which are not in accordance with the way of the Sahaba and the early generation. They may be saying things which is not in accordance. So though they may claim for themselves, we are the Salafis, they are not. Or they're in error. We don't attribute whatever they say and whatever they do to the Salaf. Unless what they have done is based really in the practice of the early generation. Then we can say, yes, that is the way of the Salaf. The way of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, that way about which Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, my nation will divide up into 73 different sects. 72 in hell and 1 in paradise. And when the companions asked the Prophet ﷺ, what is that one? He said, the one that I am on and you are on. Ma ana alayhi wa ashabi. The one which I am following and my companions follow. So this is the correct understanding. So when we come back to Tawheed al-Ibadah, worshipping Allah by maintaining His unity in that worship, we do so in the way that the companions of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did. We do not invent or introduce new ways of worship. As some people, for example, they want to celebrate the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. So they say, well, this is something good. They may even bring a verse from the Quran. They would say,